if you were in the brain center right now, how would you go about trying to prepare for this and plot our route to World Cup domination?
Look, if I was honest, I think it's too short a period to kind of throw in a grenade, blow it all up, and build it from scratch. Let's be real, we've had 2 years from our last World Cup to this one. We had a full 2 years. The same management has had a full 2 years with as little disruption as possible, right? And so with those 2 years, I feel what would I do now is I think a lot of the players that are within our current talent pool, or what you want to call it, the pool of 30 players, you need to back them. We have 7 months. If you're going to bring in a young player, I know we've got some great talent. Vishay Halambage is great. We've got some great talent coming through. But to throw them in now, just before a big World Cup, which is going to be, Mitchell Stark's last World Cup, Jasprit Bumrah's last World Cup, these guys are going to be raring to go. It's not playing Sri Lankan domestic cricket. You're not playing LPL. You're not playing for CCC or SSC anymore. This is some serious stuff on true wickets, right? So I would back the existing talent pool of 30. Mm-hmm. These guys have proven that they can win games. We've beaten teams on true wickets, not in Sri Lanka. I'm not talking about playing them at Premadas where the ball is turning square. I'm talking about playing them in Dubai. I'm talking about playing them in Sharjah and Abu Dhabi where it's true wickets, and we've brought these teams down, right? So these exact same players, and they've got a lot more experience now. So I would back these guys to go in there. And I think the questions need to be asked around our game management and our strategy and given to these guys and say, okay, here's our plan, here's a strategy, let's go forward from here.
So I think this is a good moment to turn towards team combination, which I think you've been fairly vocal on. So putting on your analyst hat, and let's just limit this to T20s for now. One of the big questions is, what does the combo look like, 6-5 or 7-4? And I think we're in a position where, because our bowlers, with the exception of Wanindu, don't really bat, this is a really important thing for us to consider. And so what do you see on that, Prad?
I'm strongly 6-5. I've always been it. I've been vocal about it on Twitter. 100% 6-5. I hear what you're saying, Dom. With our bowlers, besides Wanindu, are not too strong with the bat. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of weakening our strength just to compensate for our weakness. If that's our strength, we need to back them to bowl them out.
Okay.
Right. And then we need to help our batters come up with a plan and come up with a structure on how do we tackle to get to 160, 170, 180.
So there are 5 bowlers. I think Wani, if he's healthy, is absolutely number 1 on the team sheet.
Yep, 100%.
What do you imagine? Who do you see as the other 4? What are the options you're imagining as the other 4?
Look, I think it's not as straightforward as here's 5 out-and-out bowlers. I think it's going to come down to, once again, we got to do our preparation, but it's going to come down to ground opposition who we're playing. But you'd think Wani and Theekshana would be 2 lock-ins, right? And now I would ideally, on typical ICC wickets, definitely have 2 fast bowlers. Now, who those 2 are depends on, once again, opposition, form, injury, so many things, right? So you go 2 fast bowlers. Now, that last spot, that last 5th bowler, this is where it gives you, when I say you, gives the team an opportunity to really play around on that combination. So if we're playing, for example, a team like Bangladesh, right, on a true wicket, we've seen their weakness against Nuwan Tushara and the slinging and skidding bowling. I'd be playing Tushara and Patharuna.
Yep.
Hit him up front with Tushara, hit them at the back then with Patharuna. If we're playing a team like, a team that's predominantly right-handed in that top 6, I would be playing Walalage. Mm-hmm. Have Walalage with the left arm and Wanindu, both spinning it away from them. Yep. Or if we're playing a particular team that has a really out-and-out amazing batsman that we need to try and target, and he's got to match up against a particular type of bowling, well, play that bowler in there. But use that 5th option for that flexibility rather than using that 5th option for your hedge bet of all-rounder that doesn't quite bat, doesn't quite bowl, gives you 1 or 2 overs and faces 5 balls.
And go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, the frustrating thing as a Sri Lanka fan from listening to what you're talking about, Prad, and the comments coming in, is that we've never been in this kind of situation with the amount of depth that we have with our squad, right? We've had some
Yep.
absolutely incredible T20 players and white ball players of cricket, but we've only ever had, let's say, kind of 13 or 14 players who you thought were at that level. It feels to
Yep.
me now, especially with our bowling, like we've
Yep.
got every single thing going on, right? And every single
Yep.
variation, every single, any type of player that you want. And the idea that they're not using matchups or basically ending up, if you, it, I'd like to get your take on this. It looks to me like they're manipulating the data to such a point where they're just saying play our most generic players
Yeah.
because they're the ones
Yep.
with our most average player is the person who's most likely to get a wicket in any given circumstance. If you stop
Yep.
looking at the matchups, right? And do
Yep.
you think
Yep.
that was how we ended up with that 11 that we got against Bangladesh?
Great question.
Look, it's hard to say definitively, whether that is true, but it seems like that. Very much so seems like it. There was that I didn't understand some of the selections. I didn't understand. Let's just look at the last T20 against Bangladesh. We put on only 138. It's a low score, right? Let's be real. It was never going late. That game was not going to the 20th over in the Bangladesh innings. Why weren't we attacking with our bowling? The number of singles inside that inner circle in the first 6 overs was incredible. We weren't attacking enough, and I think we weren't attacking enough because we didn't have a plan. Back when we were in the team, we planned lines and lengths for each batter and which bowlers was going to go line and length. We then, depending on that line and length, we had a particular field because we would say, okay, we would try and predict what was the batsman's counter strategy to that line and length. So if they're going to just knock it about, where are they going to knock it about, and where do we want to put the pressure on? So it's about doing that preparation and kind of choking them. And I felt we didn't do that at all. So there was definitely no matchups, and we saw that because we had Charit come on for 1 over, get put away for 14 runs, and never came back on again. So it was quite clear we had no plan.
Yeah, well, and right, that idea of we're just trying to get an over in here in a game where if it goes to 16 overs, it's done, right? You know
Yep.
that at the beginning.
Yep.
And so this is what's surprising is, and I completely 100% agree with Mark. We have so much bowling talent. We have such diverse bowling talent that we really can change the squad to match what the weakness
Correct.
of the other squad is. And we're not even factoring the fact that Dawson, Charith, and Kamindu can also
Exactly.
offer overs. So we have so much flexibility. Why?
Yep.
It defies me why we aren't making more use of the actual skill we have to do that. And I'm glad to hear you say that. I want to press you on one thing: the Pacers, right?
Yep.
We said Thikshana and
One.
Money definitely
Yep.
play.
Yep.
Are there Pacers that you would say we need to absolutely have in the game, no matter what?
Oh, it's really hard to pin it on one or two paces because they kind of vary in form. We've seen in one game a single pace having a great game, the next game dropping off. I think this is where we need to be smart with our selection. So, perfect example: if we know we're playing a team that's got a weakness against that left arm quick angle, you'd go with like a Dilshan Madhushankar, for example, right? So it's really about doing a prep. And I understand there's only 15 players in the squad, so you can't pick all too many players. But that's why when you're constructing the squad, you need to be a step in front and doing a prep for your group and going, okay, this is where we think we need to go. It's going to come down to one or two spots at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So those one or two spots, it's about picking your strength there,
Yeah.
or what you're missing. So if you've got all right hand paces, maybe let's throw in a left armer just in case we need it.
And that's kind of why I was pressing you, because I think one of the unique things about our bowlers is that they bowl in different phases of the game.
Correct.
And so then people are worried, okay, if we play Patirana, we're going to end up not using him. But I think that we need to balance it by actually, as Pest Gamer says, we need to play a new ball seamer in T20 like Dilshan Madhushanka or Dushi in the side with Juan and Eshan. And I think, but it defies me as to why we're not thinking that way, because maybe I'm thinking it's obvious. It sounds like we're saying it's obvious, but they're missing out on this.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think once again, so it really depends. So if I was looking at the squad and the paces, like when I say not a squad of 15, but the potential players in the squad, all these guys are in there. So like Tushi, even Eshan Malinga plays, he has a role in the death. Matish Patran has a role in the death. Up front, like Pez Gamer said, you've got Nuan Tushari, you've got Tushi. What you don't realize as well, a bowler who bowls really well up front and at the death is actually Mahesh Theekshana. If you look at his numbers, he's actually very good at the death, very good up front, can control that new ball. It was something he was working on when I was with the team, and he was executing on really well as well. And that allows you to then bowl a pacey in that middle overs as well if you need to get through. See, I always believe in one thing, right? Regardless of the team, whichever team, any global team, I'm talking India, Australia, doesn't matter. Even if you play 5 bowlers, there's always going to be one bowler that has one bad day.
Yeah.
Right? It's a guarantee. It's an almost 95% guarantee. So if we choose to play 4 bowlers and 2 all-rounders, you're really not giving yourself much room to move, because as soon as one of those 4 have a bad day, you're now relying on 3 part-time bowlers to make up, the overs. Whereas you play 5 bowlers and then you have the likes of Dasun or a Kamindo or Charit. Hey, okay, this guy's had a bad day, you only got to find 2 overs somewhere. If it's a slow pitch, you'll go to Kamindo or Charit. If it's a slightly pitch that you need a bit of pace, or you go to Dawson. So